Okay, hi everyone. So in this tutorial, we're going to look at organizing our network. This has two functions. One, it can help you exchange things between your own networks if you want to save a component and bring it into another network. And the other thing is it can be useful when you want to collaborate with other people, which is what we're going to be doing for our final presentation. So we're going to look at two things. I'll try to keep this pretty quick. The first is how to make these containerized bases where if I go inside here, this is the network I've built. And the second is we're going to look at how to export them as a tox file, which is this little component that then I can drag it in, and if I go inside it, it's got that network there. Okay, so finally, if you look at this network, you can see this is pretty much what I think we'll make for our final presentation. Here I've got 10 different networks. I'm lazy, they all kind of look the same, but these will all be different. They'll be your works. And then they're all sharing the same two interaction devices. One keyboard, one button in, and a webcam. And then there's a switch that is just switching them between them all to a single output, which will be our projector. And then I've got a little timer here. At the moment, it's only spending 1 second on each just to demonstrate for the video, but we'd make that longer. We'll make it like 1 minute or 2 minutes or whatever feels right in the exhibition. We might adjust it a little bit. But I'm going to show you how to put all of this together so you can start organizing your work and working out how to work as a group. So I'm going to slowly delete a little bit of this just so you can see how it works. I'll delete my timer just so we have to rebuild it, which of course has broken my switch. So I'll delete my switch. And maybe, yeah, look, let's just go for it. Let's delete all of these and we'll just take it right back. I'll delete all of that. Maybe I'll even delete that. And I'll go into my my base, and I'm just going to copy and paste all of this back into my network so I can sort of start again. All right, and I'll delete that base. I don't need that anymore. So let me just quickly put this back together. What I've got here, if I just delete these two, and I'll need a video device in top. It'll go here, and I'll need a keyboard in chop, and I'll just leave that on button number 1. So that should be working now. If I preview my output and I press button number 1, I've got this reasonably boring feedback network that's rotating my image in a circle every time I press keyboard button number 1. And then it's compositing it over this red flat color. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a base. And what I'll do, instead of having my video device in and my keyboard in, here I'm just going to add an input top and an input chop. So in top and in chop. And I'll delete the video device in and the keyboard in, which temporarily breaks my network. But you'll see the value of this in a second. Okay, so now I'm going to right click and drag select all of them. And now that I have all of these selected, I can simply right click and collapse selected. And what that'll do is it'll put all the things we had selected in a base, which if you remember from earlier, the base it's here, it's in our components. Base, there we are at the top. Okay, and because we added those ins and our out, you can see we've got inputs and outputs. So if I just grab now a keyboard in, and let's just be consistent, run that to a null, pop that in, and I grab a video device in, run that to a null, and pop that in our base, and then grab an out top to go to our projector. Now we should have exactly what we had before. If I press 1, it goes into the input, which grabs the keyboard signal that we needed, and does everything it was supposed to do before. You'll notice in my network, I wired my ins and my outs to nulls just so that when I swap from the webcam to everything else, I only have to reroute one connection. And I also added a rename. And this is important because you might, you know, we might change the button we're using. The button might come in with a different name. The rename just makes sure that whatever comes in, this asterisk, it gets renamed as key one. So that should mean that all of your chop references, like here, they should still all grab the same names as stuff that came in. Actually, a better example would be, where am I sending that? I'm sending it to the timer, which is, yeah, here, that K1. Okay, so let's take a look at here for a second. So the next step, we've just done our containerizing. The next step will be to export this as a component that then you can send to other people. Okay, so we're going to have to right click on this, and we can just select Save Component Tox. So if I click that, you can see I've done this before, so I can call this Peter 2 or something like that. Your name, I think, is a good idea here because we're going to be working together and it will help us know which is which. So I'll just call it Peter 2. That's good. And then what I can do is if I go into my Finder, I can just grab Peter 2, drag it in, and there we have all of the stuff that we just made. Okay, so let's imagine that we've made a whole bunch of these. Maybe I'll just copy and paste that, and I'm just going to make them a little bit different. I'm just going to change the color of the constant in each one so we can see that they're different. I'll preview that there. I'll go into this one, I'll change this. So what did I have? I think, what did I just change that one to? Green. So I'll leave that one at red and I'll make the other one blue. Just to be super original. Red, green, and blue. All right. Okay, so then what we also need to do is wire in the inputs, because at the moment we've only got the keyboard and the video going into the first tox. So let's just make sure that the others can access the webcam and keyboard. And then we can't put all of these into the output, right? Because the output, we need to composite it or do something. In this case, we want to switch between them. So we're going to add a switch. And what that's going to do is make sure that we only view one of your projects at a time. So there we've got our switch. And then the final thing we need to do is just add a timer. So there's lots of different ways we can make a timer. You know, you could make a timer from an LFO going up and down or something like that. I'll show you another way to make one now. If I just go into Chop and I'll get a timer. And if I press start on this, after it initializes, you'll see it'll do this kind of, it says its length here is 10 seconds. And so for 10 seconds, that number will go between 0 and 1. And then what I can do is when it's done, I can say restart. So that'll mean it's just going to keep going and going between 0 and 1 for 10 seconds. So then I'm going to grab a select chop, and I'm just going to select the one called timer fraction. I've got that number. Then I'll grab a math, and I'm going to multiply it by 10, and I'm going to make sure that they are integers that are being rounded. So now we're just getting numbers between, I think we should be between 1 and 0 and 10, 1 and 10, 0 and 10, 0 and 10 probably. Okay, we might have to adjust this a little bit depending on how many projects we have, but I think it's kind of easy, and it should be good enough for us for now. So here now we have a number, and I might just add a rename here just in case we change anything on our timer. I'll rename it and just call it switch. So now we've got this number called switch. I'm just going to plug it in to our switch index chop reference, and now, okay, now we're not seeing much at the moment because we're above 3, but now you should see 1, 2, 3, and that's simply because we're going up as if we have 10 inputs. At the moment we've only got 3, so we can fix that if I copy and paste these and connect them to the switch. Paste again. So now there's 9. If I select all these and wire them all to the switch, okay, and then I'll just get Get one more, get this one, copy and paste. So you don't have to do this part. I'm just showing you what it would look like if we had 10 projects all wired together. Then if I hit my button, you can see they're all still connected. They're all being wired into the switches. And this change in color is actually, it's changing from this one to this one to this one to this one to this one, and so on. So that's the basics of what I think our group project file should look like. Everybody should be making their own component talks that no matter what you've got inside, you need to have a keyboard in and a video device inside your component here and here, and you need to have an out so that your work goes out. The only place it might start to get a little complicated is if you have any external media files like videos and so on. That's where things will get a little bit more complicated. But let's just start here and see where this gets us. But we've talked a fair bit about, you know, file organization and referencing things in your video folder or your image folder and sound folders. So I think you can kind of see where it's going with the use of external data. But yeah, so this is basically where I want you to get to and how you're going to organize your work for the final project. Okay. One last thing. Obviously, this timer, I'll be showing your work for more than 1 second, right? So we can just adjust this to probably something like 600 for a 1 minute presentation, or 1,200 if we want to have them on screen for 2 minutes. We'll work that out in class or in the gallery. We'll see what a good amount of time is. Okay, I'll see you in class.